Hey, what's up, everybody? So, this question is, what's your take on the current conversation about state versus federal government in regards to timing of lifting coronavirus stay at home orders? Okay, so I think what we're seeing right now is politics. I think the president of the United States is very good at pressing buttons to elicit a response and then reacting to that response in a way that he sees as politically advantageous. So, for me, I think what's most challenging about what's going on right now is that there is a health versus economic perspective where it's almost like it's a weighing of what's more important, right? Is the safety and good health of Americans the priority, or is it the livelihood of Americans and their ability to make money to live? And the problem with that is there's not a right answer, right? Like, clearly, if you were to force to choose, you're obviously going to choose, hey, what's best for the health and safety of Americans? And as an elected representative, obviously you're going to, choose to handle this sort of situation in a way that keeps your constituents the healthiest. So, when we're talking about opening up the economy again, I think that's important, right? Like, nobody wants to be out of work. People don't want to be at home. But, like, unfortunately, a lot of it is out of our control. So, what has happened over the last month is, you know, basically the entire economy has shut down in some sort of regards in an effort to allow hospitals and healthcare workers, the ability to prepare for people who end up getting sick and who need care. And I think now we are in a position where most of our medical facilities are prepared to handle new cases of COVID-19. So now it's, well, what's the next step? And I think with the initial question is like, well, who should make these decisions? The federal government or the state governors? And in my opinion, I think every governor of every state has two things that they're focused on. One is like the health protection of their constituents, and obviously their ability to earn money to live. But then on the flip side, there's a political angle too. So if you are a governor of a state, whether it's a blue state or a red state, and you make the wrong decision, or you make the call to open up your state's economy before your neighboring states, you open yourself up to massive liability in terms of becoming reelected. So if you're a governor of a red state and you listen to Trump because you see him as an ally, and let's take like Wisconsin for example, in my area. If the governor of Wisconsin decides to open up their economy, 2 months before the state of Minnesota, Illinois, North Dakota, South Dakota, Indiana, and if we fast forward and look what happened, if you are the governor of Wisconsin, what you don't want and what you can't see in terms of reelectability, if you're up for reelection in 2020, is a circumstance where the number of people who have died in your state is twice as high as all of those neighboring states that I just mentioned. So to answer the question posed to me, I think every state has or should have the power to do what they need to do in terms of reopening the state's economy, because it's ridiculous for somebody like the president of the United States to be able to dictate timing if he's not on the hook for re-election, right? So, in the state of Minnesota, our governor is, he's pretty moderate, but, he identifies as a Democrat. If Donald Trump tells the state of Minnesota that can or you need to reopen your economy to drive growth and to get people back to work, and ultimately that leads to a higher death toll compared to other states, then I don't think that is fair. So I think that it should be up to every state to dictate what they want to do in response to COVID-19 and how fast that they want to reopen their state's economies. And I think what we're seeing is the governors in particular parts of the country, they're all joining together. You have Democrats and Republicans joining together as this alliance because they understand the political consequences that are currently, in front of them. So, if you're Nevada, Oregon, Washington, California, New Mexico, Arizona, they're all forming a pact. And if you're in the Midwest, you have North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all forming a pact so that like the governors are, able to protect themselves from, the federal government trying to step in and say, hey, this is what you need to do. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If I was, the governor of Minnesota, or if I was, the congressman for, Minnesota's 3rd district, I don't give a fuck what Donald Trump has to say. I haven't trusted one word that has come out of his mouth, since he became president in 2016, and I don't look for any direction, from him now. So yeah, for me, it's all about the state level for determining, what the state's governors want to do in terms of reopening the economy as we deal with COVID-19.